Welcome to the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. I'm Larry Wagner, and I've spent 30 years working with seniors where I was a certified senior advisor and the last 15 years in the home buying industry as a certified senior transition specialist, where I specialize in dealing with seniors going through a transition in their lives. This podcast is for seniors, those with seniors they love, and people who work in the senior community. In each episode, we bring on a guest who works to improve the lives of seniors. This podcast is your key to unlocking senior resources. Today we're here with Jenny Bonadonna from Brightview Senior Living in Port Jefferson. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi.
How are you
Thank you,
doing
Larry.
today?
I'm well. How are you?
Very well, very well. You had a tough time getting here, but you made it.
I made it.
We had our snow last week, and okay.
Just barely made it, but I made it.
But you made it. Okay. So you're now working for Brightview Senior Living in Port Jefferson.
Yes.
What journey got you to Brightview Senior Living?
Yeah. So I get asked this actually a lot. People assume that it was a passion from the start and I followed a path right to it. But I actually started off, I was in school and I was going for physics.
Uh-huh. Same thing.
Yeah, same thing, right? And then COVID happened and I was trying to find something a bit more stable during that time. My labs were shut down. My internship was delayed. So I happened to get a job with the senior living community and I was working in the front desk area and part of admin. And I fell in love with it. So I stopped all of my schooling for physics, decided I'm going to work in senior living. I love the community that I'm in. I love the concept of it. And I really just love being person-centered and facing in the job that I was doing versus crunching numbers in a lab. So I decided to work really hard on learning everything that I can about senior living. And from there, I went into a sales role.
Oh, there you go. And that's a very interesting story because it was a 180-degree change.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't have to pay for tuition anymore.
Exactly.
You got paid instead of paying.
Exactly.
That's not a bad deal. That's not a bad deal. College has its place in this world. It's not for everybody. It's not for every career.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's overrated in my opinion. But that's another story. That's a whole nother podcast, but not on the show. So anyway, we've spoken before. We turned the cameras on, and your community is different than others. I've interviewed many people from some of the big players in this industry to some of the one-offs, and you have something unique to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brightview Senior Living as a whole has a concept that they try to follow throughout all of their buildings, but especially for Port Jefferson, what makes us really unique is that we are under the same roof, a continuum of care, starting with true independent living, all the way through assisted living, dementia care, and with that enhanced license. So it's an age-in-place community in one building as a rental.
As a rental, and that's a key difference from these continuing care communities who are typically buy-ins.
Exactly.
And we've heard some disaster stories. We won't name any names.
Yeah.
Where the money's gone. They've gone out. They've gone bankrupt. And I know a personal friend of mine who her buy-in was $1 million.
Oof,
that's a lot of money. I don't care how many millions you have. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And so yes, and that's a huge problem in your case. God forbid something happens to your facility, you go somewhere else. You've paid for the month you're there. And
exactly.
There's something very appealing about that, and you don't have to sell your soul to raise $600,000 or $1 million to work your way in.
Absolutely. And you don't have to lock yourself into something. It's not even always planning for the what ifs, but in case of an emergency or a bad something that happens with the community. But what if you decide to move out of state to a different family member?
Right.
What if your needs change over time and you're realizing this isn't the best fit for you?
Right.
You have that flexibility to be able to live out your life knowing that as an internal resident here, you're on that wait list for us to get into the spot that you need when you need that care.
Right.
But if you ever had to get out per se or want to make a change, you have the ability to do that.
Right. That's very nice. I know that there's again a couple of big players, but they're all buy-ins.
Yeah.
And typically the rentals you're doing independent living, but this is the continuing care, which is there's only a few of them on Long Island at all.
Yeah.
So that makes you unique. And you really said you wanted to focus a lot on which I thought to me was the focus, but you want to focus a lot on the independent living and sort of demystify independent living.
Yeah.
Before you do that, I just want to give you my experience because it may be not unique.
Sure.
But as my grandmother went into a facility at the time, and it was assisted living probably. She really needed memory care, but this is going back a long time. And it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. But that's the way they were. So when I look at we buy houses. That's what we do for a living. We buy houses and we fix up and sell them. But we typically buy them from senior citizens because those are the houses, I say, with orange or green check carpet and dark wood paneling.
Yeah.
They're not ready to be sold on the market. And then we come in and take those and buy those and fix them up. But those people's idea of a place to go is the place they put their parents.
Yes.
And the place they put their parents is not what the people are seeing today.
Not even close.
So they've got to, number one, change even a nursing home. The nursing home their parents went into, so they weren't they didn't have independent assistant and so on. It was all nursing home. So today's nursing home is not that nursing home.
No.
And there's levels before the nursing home level.
Yeah.
So they have to get that stigma from their life experience out of their head. And you're going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the podcast, right?
Yes.
Is to ensure that this new kind of community style living and the resources that are available are being educated on.
Correct.
And it starts with that because like I said, we have a true independent living to start with. And then of course we have that continuum of care with the assisted living and dementia care.
Right.
And even that is different in the sense that depending on what your need is at any point, if you require dementia care immediately, come right in. We accept a direct move-in into our neighborhood. You don't have to start from the beginning.
Okay.
But that's the way the model's set up, so you have that peace of mind.
So
and
most people start in the independent and work their way, hopefully stay there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they age in place with us in our community. But if there is a need for services immediately, we have that option to have somebody come in directly into assisted living. Whereas in a buy-in, typically that isn't always available. You are buying in from the start.
Right.
So if you're not meeting those independent guidelines, it's a bit more difficult to get that continuum of care.
Right.
But for us, it's different being a rental. And I think also with independent living, that is completely different than what people were familiar with, 25, 30 years ago. When you had a nursing home, like you said, just the overall environment is different than what the nursing homes we have now are. And then this concept of assisted living on a luxury standard is still new to that population. They weren't going out and looking for, places for themselves. They were looking for their parents.
Yes.
And typically you did that when it was needed.
Right.
And it was your last resort option. You couldn't care for them anymore. So this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And I think we created over the last 20 years better systems for, you might need those services, but we can offer a luxury option to provide those services in where it's more comfortable, it's home-like, it's a community versus a facility. And then one step above that, we're now offering independent living. That is not a need-based. This is a want. This is something that you choose to go into to enhance your life and to give yourself the life that you deserve after working so hard. And seeing the shift in educating people of when you make that move, that's what we're trying to kind of accelerate a bit more because independent living, I think some people kind of bundle that into assisted living, but it's very different.
Independent living is like a country club. It really is. And people don't get it. And I've said this story on this podcast before, but it's appropriate here. My parents.
Yeah.
It took me a year to convince them to move to independent living. It took me 6 months to convince my brother and sister that mom and dad should move to independent living. They didn't live locally. My brother didn't even live in the country. So I saw my parents. I worked with my father. I saw him 5 days a week. And I saw them on weekends, So we were very close. We lived 10 minutes apart with my folks, and I saw just the deterioration they were going through. They would share an English muffin for dinner, kind of thing, and their faculties were good, but their energy level was decreasing.
Well, yeah, an English muffin barely could feed one person,
right? Right, it wouldn't even be breakfast. Maybe a whole English muffin, but So, and my mother kept envisioning her mother's nursing home.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, no. And she said, no, but they're terrible, they're this, they're that. And she goes, no, those the places you go to die. Oh. And I said, no, they're the places you go
to
and
live
die.
again.
But you also go and die there, but you got other choices to stay here and die here. That's inevitable. But I'd rather die in a place where they're taking care of me and I don't have to do anything than a place where I'm doing all the work myself. Quite frankly, it's not going to stop. But I said, go while you are well. Because you will make friends. And they were bridge players. You will make friends. And if you make friends, if if your health turns, you'll still keep some of those friends.
Yeah.
But if you go there needing care, you're not going to make friends.
Yeah. And that's a reactive way to live your life.
Correct.
Right. And I think when you're a bit more proactive, I talk about it sometimes because people see this, well, I can stay home and be independent. And they think moving into independent living means they're getting rid of that.
Right.
But it's called independent living for a reason.
Yes.
We're giving you more options and alleviating the struggles in your day to day to allow you to be more independent.
I'm going to change that. Eliminating the struggles and eliminating the responsibilities.
And the responsibilities, exactly.
Not every struggle, not every responsibility is a trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Is a burden.
Yep.
Like cooking. I've seen the meals you prepare there. I was on your website, looking through quite extensively. And those are not the meals that people are making for themselves.
No.
So we'll get to that. I want to get to that.
Sure.
But you should talk about, you used the word before, and I was going to comment on the meals, but it's really a high-end style of life.
Yeah.
Versus living
elevated.
Living in the home you lived in for the last 45 years. That home probably needs some repairs. That hasn't been painted in 15 years. Right? The carpet is kind of old. The kitchen hasn't been redone. And now you move into a place that's all brand new.
Yeah.
Or truly new to you, and it's very well maintained and so on. That's just one of the things. And now also you're living at home with you, or maybe you and your spouse. But then you're living amongst a whole lot of people. And I got to tell you, my favorite time in life was living in college in the dorm. And this is like going backwards again. Life's a circle, so...
I mean, we're social creatures by nature. Yes. We're meant to be around others, and that engagement is working your brain, which is a muscle.
Yes.
You need to work it.
Absolutely.
You don't want to lose it. So, and being social is the best way to do that. And it's a support system now. You're around other people that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through that are going to help you through that. And I think there's something really special to say about having that supportive community in your own demographic going through the things you're going through.
I was going to get in your own demographic. I was going to comment. I was going to use that word, but that's exactly the right word for it.
Yeah.
You're around people just like you.
Yep.
And you have, I'm sure you have activities and everything else that brings you even closer. People like art are doing this, maybe people like politics doing politics if you have that, and so on and so forth. And it gives you, you as a person, senior living at home, you're not going out and doing 1, 2, or 3 activities a day. But I'll bet they can do 1, 2, or 3 activities a day where they would be with you.
Absolutely.
And that's the difference. But talk a little bit more about the lifestyle there.
Yeah. So the lifestyle at Brightview Senior Living is what you make of it. We provide for you at a convenience everything that you would need. So that restaurant style dining, we even have a bar and pub in there. So we have happy hours, come down for a drink. We're doing outings, we're doing lecture series, art shows, art classes. We have the whole fitness center with physical therapy and training programs on there. And it's almost like being on a cruise ship that's docked.
Right.
Where you are signing yourself up for this luxury experience, and you get a calendar, you get an agenda, you get the itinerary, and you're going to decide what you would like to go and attend to.
Right.
Now, the concierge level of services and that hospitality part that Brightview's offering is, instead of just handing this to you, we're now going to request some information from you. So imagine it's like you go on a cruise ship and somebody knew everything that you like to do and they put it on your calendar for you. That's kind of what we do when somebody first moves into the community, is we're going to learn everything we can about them. And then we're going to go to them in their apartment and say, hey, here's what your first couple of weeks can look like. You shared with us that you love to paint. We've got these paint classes at these times. Here's a resident. She is an ambassador here at the community. She's going to walk you down there at this time. And we set them up for success so that way then they can take it on their own to decide what each day is going to look like. And that's the purpose of being independent, is you're taking control of that. If you want to continue to do the things that have been working at home, continue to do that. We're making it even easier for you to do more.
Right. They can, and you have a kitchen in the apartments.
Yeah.
So they can cook all the meals they want.
Yeah.
But they can sit there and say, I remember my mother and father, they had a dishwasher and they had a full kitchen where they were.
Yeah.
And the dishwasher had a container of dishwashing soap. When they left after 3 or 4 or 5 years, that container was still in the dishwasher. The oven had something in the oven, and that thing was still in the oven. They never turned it on once.
Yeah.
And that was it. They said, well, my mother said, I'm going to cook. But but they give me 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
Why am I cooking? And they
Exactly.
cook, and I don't want my English muffin for dinner anymore.
Exactly.
My half an English muffin for dinner.
Half an English muffin, yeah.
Right.
And because you see that when you have a routine that you're getting the nutrients that you should be getting in having a full course meal.
Right.
You're having that social engagement. You are feeling better. You're going to live better. You can do more. You're a bit more active.
Right.
And I hear the biggest feedback that I get from our residents every single time when I ask them, hey, how's it been?
Right.
How are you doing? How was your first week, your first month? Is I wish I did this sooner.
Yep.
Because they look back and they say, imagine how much better I would feel if I was doing this for years.
Right.
If I had started this much sooner, I didn't have to deal with the stress of the move at this age. I could have done it 2 years ago. So we're trying to catch people at that point now where, don't be the person that says, I wish I did this sooner. Do it now.
Right.
And give yourself a better quality of life for longer.
For longer. And make more friends just in
Yeah.
case you need care and you're not the same person. And by the way, my mother developed Lewy body dementia.
Oh, wow.
And she became a vegetable. And she had people come and visit her every day, bring her flowers. She couldn't communicate. She couldn't do anything. But yet they loved her because they knew her for the 2 years before she got sick.
And
But
that's so important. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you hit the nail on the head is that it was before something like that happened.
Yes.
Because now she was able to take her life into her own hands
Yep.
and decide in those kinds of moments, where do I want to be?
Right.
And I think people wait for this what if to happen.
Yes.
And now it's too late. Now you weren't able to enjoy the perks of independent living and really feel the fruits of it if you're not able to make the decisions now. So do it while you can.
I've had many people on the show in the senior living and assisted living arena, and no one ever said compare it to a cruise. And but it really is.
Yeah.
I've seen other ones. Yours may be nicer. The pictures of the food, if they're real, that's some spectacular
They're
looking
all
food.
real photo and real residents on all of our sites.
Okay, there you go. It was restaurant really fancy.
Yeah.
The kind of restaurants I don't go to quality food. They do not serve food like that at Panera.
No, they do not. They do not. And it's also part of the experience is restaurant style dining. We have our restaurant and dining room is open for a certain amount of time and you go down when you're ready.
Right.
That's also something that's very Brightview specific. The way that we provide these services. What is that term? Luxury is providing in ordinary service extraordinarily.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I think we really try to follow that motto there where, a lot of places have a dining room. They have a restaurant. They have 3 meals a day. But how you're serving that food. Are you showing pictures and plates already of the food and coming around on a tablecloth table when you're sitting with your friends at the time that you want to dine? Or are you being seated and being told what you're going to eat today and not have many options?
Right.
We try to provide the necessities extraordinarily.
I want to address the food because to me, that is probably the single biggest complaint in every place people go. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think it's hard to please everyone, and taste buds are different, and my sauce is different than your sauce.
And older taste buds are even worse.
Exactly.
Because they're desensitized. They're kind of losing their touch. So do you let residents make suggestions to the chef?
Absolutely. Not only in real time, but we have a food council.
Oh,
So they will
wow.
meet with the chef once a month and provide their feedback and help make changes to the menu or little tweaks here and there as to what they're looking for. That could be anywhere from the actual options that they're serving, the way that they're serving it, the timing, how often. So they're very involved in our menu building process.
That's usually done when there's enough people complaining. You're doing it as an automatic once a month activity.
Oh, yeah. Proactive. Everything's
Yeah,
proactive.
you just say
Nothing
that.
reactive.
And do you cater to people's needs, not their taste? Their taste, yes.
Dietary
needs?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I spoke to someone who said, nope. No, we prepare food the way we prepare it. And I said, you do low sodium? They said, no. I said,
Oh,
and I said, but you want to keep your residents alive as long as possible, just from a business point of
Yeah.
view. Take the salt out. And they said, no, we don't do that.
oh no, we absolutely do that.
Okay, that's so important. You go to a
Yes.
place. Your wife hasn't used salt in 50 years. You now go to a restaurant and go to this place and everything's salty to you.
Yeah.
But you do low sodium options.
We do no
which is a
sugar
big deal.
added options. And even to take it one step further, because we have the licensure in our assisted living community, we can do specialized diets as care needs change. So anything that's purified or chopped, we can even
Okay.
take it that far.
Wow.
But on the basis, if somebody has to be dairy-free, gluten allergies, you let us know and we'll work with you. Just like any other restaurant, you share an allergy.
Right.
We're accommodating.
Hi, I'm Larry. And I'm Ben. We're the father and son team of Leave the Key homebuyers, and we want to buy your house.
We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you were going through.
So if you're considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out and see how we can help.
Do you have an outdated home?
No need to update anything.
Have a home that needs repairs?
Don't bother with repairs.
Don't want to take everything with you?
Leave whatever you want behind.
Dreading the headaches that come with agents?
Sell your home without paying a commission.
Dreading prying neighbors attending open houses and passing judgment on your home?
No need for public showings.
When you sell to us, you'll have all the certainty of closing on your timeline, not someone else's, and there's absolutely no pressure.
Visit leavethekey.com or call us today for a no-obligation offer at 631-388-7771 if you want to sell your home today.
That's it. And I know I was speaking to someone who their new resident had some very unique needs. I forgot what exactly it was. And the chef said, okay. And he started preparing food for this person one-off.
Yeah.
And what was most interesting about it was other people said, I want that. So they started to put the food they're making for him, they started making as a regular item for the menu.
Amazing.
Because so many people wanted what he wanted, but so what they made for him.
We see that all the time. You know, somebody will request something and we'll try it and we'll do it. And then now it's an option on the menu full time.
There you go. So, that's fascinating. That's fascinating because the food is such a critical part of the experience. So
I think so,
I
too.
wish we could hold up pictures of the food.
I know. I should have brought some.
I just should have brought some. Just go to
We'll
the
do a taste
website.
test.
Go to the website. I saw it. The everything's played and your little dots of your sauce and all the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was very impressed. I'm telling you, I've been to a number of these places. Well, not like yours, but places for seniors. And I've never seen food prepared like that.
Yeah, we do a really great job, and it's ever changing. I think that's the most important thing too. Is just like the world is changing, the way that you provide food and the meals and the presentation that's changing too. And we really try to do anything in the community is based on resident feedback. Of course, we have our Brightview standards, but if something has to pivot, that's going to keep our residents happy and healthy. That's what we're going to do.
Speaking of pivot, let's pivot for a moment. You say Brightview standards.
Yes.
Seem like a logical time to pivot with that. You have more than one facility, more than one community.
Community, yes.
Okay, and discuss that a little bit.
Yeah, so Brightview, we have 2 on Long Island, Port Jefferson and Sayville, and then we have over 50 communities that are spread out throughout the East Coast. We actually started over in Baltimore area, and that's where our home office team is, but we are all privately owned and operated. Very critical in the sense of quality control and consistency. So we have a support team. Every department has regional support teams, and they are in our communities. They work with families if needed. They're offering guidance and support and ongoing training, and it's coming from the original Brightview owners. And that's the only way that you can really see true success in having quality control and consistency. What makes a Brightview is going to be that is the way that we provide these services. I mean, it's why we're always winning the awards for, Fortune 100's greatest place to work and places to live and things like that.
I saw that you had a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of awards. I was very impressed. And when I saw best places to work, that's a big one, being an employer for 45 years.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with that.
Oh, and they hold by it. And that was actually their model. So the owners of the company collectively realized that they really wanted to they felt that if they created a company in a community that was a great place to work, the associates would then create a great place to live. So they really value the people in Brightview and all of their associates, their director teams, all the way down to line staff and associates and housekeeping. Because if you have people who love what they do, they feel appreciated, they enjoy the company that they work for, they're going to provide an excellent service to their residents.
They come to work with a smile.
Exactly.
Because the residents see everybody. For the most part, they see the person who cleans the room. They see the people, the cooks. They see. I mean, I know with my in-laws, you don't see everyone in the kitchen, but you see people in the kitchen. The chef's out there all the time, and so on. So you want everyone having a smile all the time if possible.
Absolutely, and it's a trickle down. It obviously is held there at I don't want to say the bottom, but on the front line. But it's a trickle down from the top. So we focus a lot. I know Brightview is a company on ensuring every associate feels appreciated. So whether it's conferences or yearly annual groups and get-togethers and trainings, we will have, our CEOs and top guys coming down and ensuring that they're meeting the people in these buildings and they're all feeling appreciated and seen in every single way.
That's very nice. And I like the fact that you have the continuity, not to
Yes.
compare to McDonald's, but what made McDonald's successful is it's the same in every location, and they master it in one and then copy it throughout, and that's what you're doing. Not at McDonald's level, but the idea that you are, except for the food, it's just like no.
Oh, yeah.
But you're mastering it. You're mastering it at one, and then you're just following the model. And then even if Port Jefferson tweaks something, that may then trickle up to Baltimore.
Absolutely.
So, because they're not always the best. They started right, and there's always a way to improve.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to adapt, and they are very willing to adapt. They're very open to feedback, and they're very involved. Everybody from home office is super involved in each community, and they're incredibly supportive.
Right.
So I know, even being a newer associate with Brightview, I have never felt more seen, heard, appreciated, and welcome to be part of a company, even as a new person.
Wow. That's very nice to hear.
Yeah.
That's very nice to hear. Very interesting. So let's talk activities.
Sure.
What do you do? So if I'm there, what am I going to do besides hang out in my apartment?
Well, what would you like to do? Larry, you're moving into our community. What are some
I'm
things
a creative
you enjoy?
guy.
Okay.
I'm not a sports person. I'm a creative guy.
Okay. Like working with your hands?
I like working with my hands.
Oh, okay, great. So we provide a model that we like to call SPICE. So it's spiritual, physical, intellectual, cultural, and emotional.
That's a lot.
And we try to emphasize, input all of that into our calendars. So meaning there's going to be something for everyone.
Right.
There's going to be things that are spiritual based, whether it's meditation or religious services. We're going to have physical activities. So we have trainers that come in. We have yoga classes.
Right.
We're going to have intellectual. So we'll have sit-down lectures, seminars, different educational events outside of the community that we can take them to. We'll have cultural. So we like to bring in different holidays and events into the community. And then also the emotional and educational piece of it. Now, when it comes to art, working with your hands, that kind of ties into a lot of those.
Right.
So we have a full operating art studio, and we are not someone that says, pick up a crayon and do something. If we have residents that like to sculpt, we're doing sculpting classes.
Oh, really?
We have residents that enjoy painting.
I wouldn't expect the sculpting. I'm impressed.
We actually have somebody on site that does it. One of our Vibrant Living associates, part of the team, will sit down and do sculpting classes with our residents. So we have that. We have jewelry making. We have painters that we will now be able to exhibit in local galleries.
Wow.
And then we have instructed classes, so sketches and people that are doing step-by-step paint classes. So we try to incorporate everybody's needs and wants. If somebody said, I really love woodworking, well, okay, how do we get someone in to do that?
Right. That's always a liability issue. That's a hard one. That's a hard nut to crack.
Wood putty maybe.
Wood putty, right? Plastic wood.
A little
Plastic
bit, a
wood.
little bit of glue.
That's
There's
right.
different sculptures you can do
Plastic
with
wood.
small pieces of wood,
That's
right?
it.
We're going to
That's
be
it.
using a Sawzall.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's because I know I've tried. I know friends of mine have moved into gated communities, 55 and older, tried to get them to do woodworking, and then, no, we're not touching that.
No.
So, anything you want but that. Anything you want but that. You
Well,
want
we can
welding, we'll
always-
give you welding, but no woodworking.
We'll take them out,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So if it's something that is more of a challenge or is a
Right.
bit harder to bring into the community,
Right.
nothing is stopping us from getting a group together and going out to get
that's
them in
interesting.
classes. It's independent living. If we're hearing the feedback that this is what they want to do, maybe
Right.
the men's club, instead of going to one of the casinos or to a
Right.
bar or pub, they want to go take a woodworking class.
Right.
Let us help you with that, and
Right.
we'll take it there.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you have, for those, in the independent living, I'm assuming, does everybody drive? Well, no.
Not everybody.
Okay.
We have a car service too,
You just
Monday
want
through
to know.
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's within a certain mileage, just like 5 to 10 miles that
Right.
will take you to and from pick up, drop off.
Right.
And that seems to be very successful, but we have so much going on in the community as well
Right.
that even though residents will bring their cars and we have
Right.
a lot of driving residents, we
Right.
see those cars in the parking lot a lot.
Yes. Okay. So I know all the times I have a bus that takes you, same thing, the
Yeah.
5 miles for doctor appointments, things of
Oh
that
yeah,
nature.
we have a Brightview bus that
Yeah.
we try to do larger excursions to and take them out to like theater shows in the
Right.
village. And then that car service is a one-off service that you schedule through concierge.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what other, do you have crystal chandeliers?
In the community, we have different kinds of chandeliers.
go.
Some have crystals.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I always tell people, they didn't have crystal chandeliers. My grandmother went to a nursing home, at that point, because that's what it was, nursing homes. See, every place I go, there's a crystal chandelier. I don't know. I don't know if it's an age thing or whatnot. But anyway, so with that said, so what else do you want to brag on about your facility? Because it's again, I've looked at it. I was very impressed when I was going through the website.
I mean, I think we touched upon a lot, but like I said, that independent living piece of it is really important. And the way that we provide the independent lifestyle. So I'm going to compare it back to a cruise ship again.
Right.
I think a lot of people, even in my conversations that I'm having with seniors themselves or the adult children they're not really ready yet. They don't really need that just yet. No, they're fine at home.
Yeah.
And those are all words to me that if I was describing my life as fine,
right,
or if I was like, I don't need that, but I would want it maybe, or I don't know if I'm ready. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Any major decision, you don't always feel very ready to do that.
Yes. This is a major decision.
It is. It's a big decision, and that's why it has to come with a lot of educating, like what are you gaining and what's the purpose of it? Yeah. So going back to that cruise ship comparison, you have options at a cruise ship, right? You can decide what kind of package you want and how many excursions you want to do.
Right.
And the point of it, though, is to be this all-inclusive, convenient model that, yes, can you go book your own boat tour to an island and find your own place to stay and find your own tour guide? Of course you can, but how much easier and better is it to have someone do it all for you and not have to worry about it?
Right.
You know, these people have spent their entire lives working, whether that would be in a profession or being a stay-at-home mother or father, or they live very long lives. It's time for them to enjoy it.
Yep.
That just like when someone's choosing to either plan their entire vacation itinerary and put themselves to that stress, or just have someone do it for them, why not? Why not have somebody do it for them? So with that independent living lifestyle that we're providing, we're not taking anything away that you are able to do now in your life. You have your full apartment with the kitchen. You have washers and dryers in that apartment. You have balconies and outdoor access. You can drive your car. You can park your car. And then you have the ability to live the same life that you have now with all of these additional options to make it easier, more convenient, and elevate that lifestyle. Because it's independent. We're not dictating anything about your day.
Right.
It's like living in an apartment complex with a lot of amenities.
A lot of amenities. I like the cruise ship one better.
Yeah. Cruise ship one is better.
and you don't have to shovel snow.
No, you don't have to shovel snow.
Very appropriate since we just had a foot of snow.
Yeah.
So, question for you. What is the average age of the people coming in, the residents moving in?
Yeah, so if we took the entire community as a whole, it's probably in that 85 range. But for independent living, we're looking more in the 70s because then it's an age-in-place community to assisted and dementia care.
Is your goal, or is the goal of the community to lower the age in which people come in?
Yeah, yes, definitely lower the age. I would say more so have residents that are active, and we're looking for, and we luckily have in our community at this point, residents that are active and are truly independent, because that's what we're here for. You know, when we're providing these high level of activities and yoga classes, we want people to participate and we want them to take advantage of it. So it's more so the capability level and the activeness of the residents coming in. I have residents that are 94 years old and walking 3 miles, and I have residents that are 78 in a wheelchair. So age matters to an extent. It's more so the ability to take advantage of what we have to offer.
I'm 67. It seems like a 67-year-old is more in a 55 and older community, of which there aren't very many on Long Island.
Yeah.
And then at a certain age, I can see then this is sort of like the next step from that.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I think of it. But
yeah.
I don't and you're all in one building, which is, I want to go to that. I'm going to come back to what I was going to say because it's very appropriate.
Yeah.
So what also is very unique, I've spoken to other people who have multiple levels of care, but usually it's a separate building. So if dad is fine and mom needs help, and mom moves to another room, but somewhere else. I mean, it's another building on the same, I'll call it campus or adjoining or whatever.
Yeah.
But in New York, that's not the case with you.
No, it's not the case. And it's very fluid in the community itself. So just the way that it's structured is you can, in independent living, we don't have like a true separation. We have apartments that surround this intimate neighborhood, again, to offer more convenience to our assisted living residents, where You don't have to go down on the first floor living room and lounge. We have one right here on the second floor for you. But then there's independent living apartments right there too. So you are engaging on a social basis from that activity program and calendar of events that we have, and then just overall in the environment, engaging with residents in independent living and assisted living. That when there is a transfer or an internal move to assisted living, you know the faces, you've already seen the neighborhoods, it's very familiar to you, it's just an apartment move. And you can have a resident who's independent live in assisted living with a spouse.
Okay. There you
So
go.
they're receiving care and they can continue to go on about their day and have all that same routine, but now they're staying together while they receive care in the same building.
Oh, that's even better. That's even better.
Yeah.
So in my example, Dad's still seeing his friends and doing his activities, but come back to Mom in the apartment.
Yeah.
So even better.
Absolutely. And listen, if mom's going to have care from us, so if mobility is a concern, we'll take her to those same programs and activities.
Right.
Nothing's stopping them from intermingling.
Right.
We just provide an intimate neighborhood of assisted living for that focus of care. We think it's very important that if we're going to provide a high level of care and services, we can do it to a number of people that is manageable.
Right.
So having only 50 assisted living apartments versus 94 independent, we're focusing our nurses, our health service director, and all those clinical needs on 50.
Right.
Versus having a community of 140 something plus that now as they age might need care, and we've got 140 plus residents to care for.
If I'm in your location, I'm independent living in your community, and suddenly I need care, but can I just get my own person to stay in my apartment or spend the day with me? So that way I have my own care.
Yeah, you have the option. It's your apartment. It's your right. So you can, of course, do that.
Right.
Most people in coming to Brightview, the purpose of that is to have that age in place. That typically we have the internal move. It's best for them because now we're responsible. The family isn't worried about having care come in. We're still taking on that burden of managing their day in a concierge level, but you absolutely can.
Right. Interesting. Okay. It's a different model. It's a different model. A beautiful facility, a beautiful menu, the facility. How is it structured? You talk about the circling around is a term you use. So I'm visual. Go ahead. So
I always say we're kind of like a long rectangle with branches.
Okay.
That where the apartments are, but we have common areas on the first floor that are spread from the front to the back, and then we have some common areas on the second floor as well.
Right.
And the third floor is all apartments with our wellness suite where our providers come to visit. But we try to sort of mimic the floors so it's nice and easy. And we have independent living apartments on all 3 floors.
Oh, that's it. So it's not segregated. It's really so it really is all blended together.
Yeah, it's all blended together. Wellspring Village for dementia care is the only neighborhood that is secured
They
for
have unique
safety.
needs. Yes.
Yeah, they have different kind of needs, and we're on the first floor because we really wanted to ensure that they had a beautiful outdoor area. So there's a fully secured outdoor courtyard. It's actually quite large. It's the largest courtyard we have in the community. And that is my favorite courtyard. It's got the gazebos, the bird feeders, balconies, everything. So
That's and how many memory care?
26.
26.
Yeah.
Yeah, memory care is a whole. That was my grandma that went to a nursing home. They didn't have memory care units back then. She had dementia from her late 60s, and she lived to 91.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you talk about wait till it's too late. She only lived there. She lived with us and my aunt for 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
So 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months.
Pat yourself on the back.
And you just what you did, you know. But it got to the point we just couldn't take care of her anymore. Her needs got too great. So, but now there's so many options. There's so many options.
And one thing I would just want to touch on too. So we call it Wellspring Village. I know every community has a different name for it, but it's dementia care specifically.
Right.
It's not a memory care environment. And I think that's really important to note because we're not having any resident with some form of cognitive impairment or, a decline in their mental ability. It's dementia specific. So we can train and be the experts in dementia care.
That's interesting. So if there's other cognitive failures, they can stay in the assisted living.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, and we would work that out with the families to see what the best fit would be, and if we can manage the care and assisted living, of course. But we just have that for a reason, so we can really be the experts in those kinds of care, because there is a big difference between somebody with Lewy body dementia, FTD, or another form of Alzheimer's versus somebody maybe with a TBI.
Right. Yeah.
That's a very different level of care, and we want to ensure that what we're doing, we really are the experts in. So versus being a jack of all trades but a master of none, we try to master.
Correct. I would not have known that. I assumed in with a memory issue, but I've never asked that question of anyone else.
Yeah.
I will if it comes up again. I wouldn't have thought of that. Yeah, they always call it memory care. You don't call it a dementia unit. That doesn't sound very nice.
But dementia care.
But
we are caring for
calling it
residents with dementia.
Right. Right.
Yeah, we try to not keep it taboo in the community. We actually do a lot of events in our Wellspring Village neighborhood where we bring independent residents and assisted residents back there.
Right.
We'll do carnivals and fundraisers because the idea of dementia, I think, is very frightening for seniors. And because of that, we see people a lot more in denial. Not willing to be proactive in getting the help that they need. They'll try to hide it more. And now you're in a situation where they really should have done something sooner to, stabilize some of that decline.
Yeah.
But it's now at the point that they really need it and we're making a last minute decision.
Right.
But if you educate on what your life can be like, even with dementia, that's a much different story. You might be a bit more open and forthcoming with, I think I'm having some of these concerns, and let us get you resources to start that process of being proactive in your future care plan.
Yep. I find something bizarre about people being embarrassed about dementia. I have ADHD, and I'm right now going through group coaching, and they talk about the embarrassment of ADHD. I said, I wouldn't be embarrassed if I had cancer. I wouldn't be embarrassed. I shouldn't be embarrassed if I have dementia. I shouldn't be embarrassed if it's nothing I did.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yet people feel embarrassed about these, and I don't understand that. Maybe it's just my naivete. I don't know, but I talk about it freely. I'm talking about it here. I talk about it freely.
Yeah.
But yet I know they try to hide it and so on. I've seen it too many times.
Yeah, I think it's part of the stigma behind it. And also, again, what was available maybe 30, 40 years ago, people would call it the crazy unit, which is terrible.
Oh, God.
It was a dementia unit or a memory care unit that made it feel so dehumanized, where we have residents in our Wellspring Village neighborhood that you would sit down and have a full conversation with and never know they were a resident there.
Right.
Because we're trying to keep their level of independence, all their possibilities, their choices in that community at the same that they were. We're just going to provide better options for them.
Right.
So I think it's all part of the unveiling and kind of getting rid of the stigma behind dementia care, assisted living, and senior living as a whole.
So what haven't we touched on at this point?
I think we touched on most of it. It's a continuous effort on my part, on Brightview's part, I think on anybody that's working in the senior living industry to continue to unveil what senior living is, what is dementia care versus memory care, what is independent living, and just really what are those resources available to our seniors in their local neighborhood. So it's an ongoing effort. And
What do you do to get the word out to get more residents?
Oh, we do a lot. We do a lot of outreach on the community level, plus in working with home office to, provide different advertisements and marketing material. But we feel very strongly, especially in Port Jeff, that the local neighborhoods and villages are so important.
Yes.
It's why people stay where they are. It's why their zip code is very important on Long Island. And when you think 30 years ago, it was dirt roads in Port Jeff a lot of times. So they watched this entire community and village be built from the ground up. And there's really amazing organizations, different kind of groups that they have, different towns that we're now going out and supporting them.
Right.
So any kind of art center or museum, things that really enhance the culture as to why people love being in Port Jeff and Setauket and Stony Brook, we want to provide that support and show that we support you guys. And we're really the place that when those needs come up or when that want to live a better life comes up, that's what we're here to do. We're here to give that life to you. And now you can stay in the same area that you love, and we're going to bring our community to them and bring them into us too, because there's so many people that are part of such large groups, and they want to continue that. They don't want to be off of the board of the Riboli Center now. They want to continue doing that. So let us work with them. Let us help you continue the things that you love to do.
Very good. So I told you in advance I was going to ask this question, one of the 3 questions I ask. But I don't think it requires answering. And I said, what's the differentiator between you and other communities? I think it's evident, but feel free to respond.
I think we touched upon it all. But, just to sort of summarize, I think Brightview and Port Jefferson, really the biggest differentiators here are the fact that we have true independent living, that you can then age in place into assisted living and beyond to dementia care with our enhanced license under the same roof. As a rental.
Under the same roof and as a rental.
As a rental.
Two big things.
Yeah.
And I like the fact it's under one roof, and I like the fact that you're merging the different levels on the same floor. It's not this, and this. They're on the 3 different floors.
Yeah.
So everyone can know everyone.
Yes.
So is there one dining room? So is it open? I meant to ask you.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go back to the question I wanted to ask you, and that is
Sure.
about age. So I'm 67 years old. If an average person there is 80-something years old, it's not enticing for me to move in. And then that's why I asked you, when they're all merged together, it's hard to convince a 67-year-old to live amongst 85-year-olds. It's just, it's probably not healthy, quite frankly. It probably, probably makes you feel a
Yeah.
little bit older. But I see being in your 70s, 80s, again, it depends. The 7-year-old's in a wheelchair, the 85-year-old is...
Exactly. And it does, of course, make it, you want to be around like-minded individuals.
Correct.
And you want to be around people that you see yourself as too. So
Correct.
we have a large group of very young residents also, but we also have higher levels of care. So that
Right.
age is going to change.
Right.
And it really is about how you see yourself and where you think you fit best. And we have residents that are, like I said, could be 85 or 90 and
Right.
you would never know. And then you have residents that are in their 70s and they're younger, but they require more help. So
Yep.
we just try to accommodate everybody's level of activity
Right.
and acuity and capabilities and enhance that. So if you are 67 and you're looking for a convenient lifestyle, keep working.
Right, right.
Get a place with an office
Yes.
and get your apartment and use your car and do what you need to do. You're living on a cruise ship every day.
That's right, right.
And if you're at the point where maybe you need some more care sooner rather than later, don't worry, we've got you covered there too.
Absolutely. You mentioned your level of health and ability. When I took my father to see one of the independent living places here on Long Island, my mother and father, my father said to me that everyone here seems so old and some people are using walkers. Me and my father's using a cane. I had to make, I'm a woodworker. I had to make a cane for him that had to be very light and dainty so it didn't look like a cane.
Oh,
It was a
but that's
walking stick.
great.
It was I just talked about it with my son yesterday, that it was so fine. My son couldn't believe it didn't break. But putting that aside, we're little people, don't have much weight. But putting that aside, he had to take a rest and sit on the couch for about 10 or 15 minutes to catch his breath and get the energy to finish the tour. So he's seeing them as being old, but he couldn't do the tour. My mother was doing it just fine.
Yeah.
So our self-image is very important too. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
not realistic.
No.
And I'm sure
a
you
lot
see.
of times it's
I was
not
going to say, so I'm
realistic.
sure you see that plenty. And I was laughing at him respectfully. I was laughing at him. I was like, Dad, you're commenting about them. Listen, you're resting while Mom's like gallivanting around the place. I don't know, Dad. I don't think that much different than you.
Yeah.
So,
And there's a certain level of dignity that we want to continue to uphold
Yeah.
with our residents too. And
That's important.
Even the way that we maybe approach somebody like
Right.
that, who we know is sitting down every 5 minutes but refuses to use a walker to make it
Yes.
easier. We're not going to point out that you couldn't continue this walk for
Right.
5 minutes, but we are going to say, hey, why don't we finish the whole hallway? Use this really quick and watch. You're going to be able to walk down the entire hallway and kind of enhance the fact that we're going to now provide a community that's more accessible, and you
Right.
have the option of getting a rollator like plenty
Right.
of your friends will.
Right, right.
And not highlight the inability, but just give them something that will continue for
Right.
them to have the ability to do what they need to do.
and those rollators make great seats.
They do,
They're
and
very
they make great
comfortable.
storage units. Take
Great
your
storage.
Tupperware down the dinner.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm sure they do. Right?
Yeah,
I
you're
remember-
out and about all day. Why carry a bag? Throw it in the rollator.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We got a scooter from my father-in-law,
Yeah.
and I think everyone's jealous. He's got a red rollator and a red scooter.
Hot rod.
And I want to do is attach the rollator to the back and have my mother-in-law sit on it like a little caboose and go around the place. That's my goal. But the real envy, and they're an envy because they're a couple. And there's not very many couples in independent. No,
We have
there's-
a lot.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and we're almost 50-50 men to women.
Really?
I know, very rare. That's what makes Brightview
That's
Port
a
Jefferson
difference.
unique.
Wow. For all you
Yeah.
guys out there. Well, actually,
Yes.
it's not good for the guys. There's more competition. For all you women out there.
Got plenty of options still.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I think it's the way that we're structured. We
Yes.
allow the people to age differently, but together.
Right. Very interesting. I wouldn't even ask the question. It wouldn't occur to me.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm glad you said that. So I got to tell you, this was really, really interesting. And I think it's time. I think it's time to say, how do people get hold of you?
Sure.
I'm trying to think if I have any other questions, but this is really, this was one of the really more exciting ones I've done dealing with a community or a residents or so on.
Yeah.
So, but how do people get hold of you?
I always say the easiest way, you just go right on the website. The number is going to pop up right there, and you give it a call.
Okay.
Of course, I have my own individual number, and I'm happy to share that too, 631-802-6211. But
Wait, you have to say that slower again. 631.
631-802-6211.
Okay.
But when you call that main number, you know, if I'm happen to be off or was on a visit with somebody, you know, we have someone that's going to be answering those calls for you throughout the day. So please feel free to go on the website.
And what's the website?
Brightview. If you type in Brightview Senior Living in Port Jefferson, it'll pop right up.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very good. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
So, yes, and it's a nice website. And look at the pictures of the food. They're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. I thought it was fake.
Well, anybody's welcome if they are interested in coming in. You know, it's important, the food options. So you'll be able to see a menu, come for a mealtime, for dinner, for a happy hour. You know, we'll set that up if that's important to you too.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Very good.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. If you've enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you are going through. So if you are considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out to see how we can help. When working with us, you can sell your home in its current condition, there is no need to remove unwanted items, and you control when the house is sold, along with so many other advantages. Visit leavethekey.com or call us at 631-388-7771 to learn more about our senior home buying process.